1989, you decide that you're going to sue the state of Connecticut. It's 2026. Where did you think we would end up?
Well, let's back it up a little bit, because in 1989, I was totally unaware of the inequality in Hartford schools. Totally unaware, which seems to me that's my bad, right? But since my child was on grade level reading, we didn't have any problems, then all was well. And I think that was my first lesson that I learned about my responsibility to other children.
So I want to pause it, because most people judge the school system, if they even think of such a thing, by their experience with their child. Your son Milo was good.
Yeah.
Academically sound.
Academically, socially, we had no behavioral problems. It wasn't like that. And it really, I wasn't even invited, Dr. Perry, to the organizing meeting. It was a community meeting of public interest law firms, the NAACP Legal Defense Fund, the American Civil Liberties Union, the National Puerto Rican Legal Defense and Education Fund, Hispanic Legal Aid here in Connecticut, UConn School of Law, and independent lawyers who came together and presented this to the community. And I wasn't even invited to the first organizing meeting. Okay.
Why were they meeting?
They were meeting to discuss with the community the status of education in Hartford in 1989.
Was something happening? Because I was in high school. That was my senior year of high school. 88 was my senior year of high school. And, as a kid, you knew that Hartford schools were not good. You wanted to stay out of them if you could avoid it, right? But did something happen?
You mean to prompt the lawyers?
Yeah.
They were tracking for a few years the increasing decline in educational achievement of Hartford students and the increase in racial isolation of Hartford. So they tracked that for a couple of years, mostly John Britton and Martha Stone. So they had called a meeting to discuss their findings. I wasn't invited. Back then I was vice president of the Westbrook Village Tennis Association.
And Westbrook Village, was it a public housing?
It was public housing.
Okay.
It's public housing in the northwest corner of Hartford, right over by the University of Hartford.
Okay. In the north end, in that area.
No, not in the north end. In the northwest.
Northwest.
All the way down Albany Avenue.
All
the way down. And the president of the association, Barbara, she was the one that was asked to come to the meeting because she had a child in Project Concern, right? And so she was nervous about attending.
Project Concern was a program that bused children from Hartford in particular to some of the suburbs. So her child was in that program.
She was in that program. They call it Project Choice now. But it was Project Concern for many, many years. So she requested that I go. And that's how I got into this suit, is I'm sitting there and I'm listening to all of these words flying through the air about the deteriorating conditions in Hartford schools. But the one thing that stuck in my mind, Steve, that still sticks in my mind, is that in 1989, 74% of students in Hartford's 8th grade could not read. So if you're in the 8th grade and you cannot read, what are your life chances from there? And to me, that 79 wasn't, I mean, 74% wasn't 74% of the students failing. It was the system failing. Say, that's too big a number.
Right, because the 74, you cannot imagine
Right.
that by accident,
Right.
that many children
Right.
would be born to that many adults in that community
Yeah.
that are incapable of reading
Exactly.
English.
Exactly.
Like, it's just not a thing.
No, it's not.
There's no data that supports
No.
anything. I don't even care if it's eugenics. There's nothing that supports that.
Right.
So for you, it just was a whoa.
That's what exactly. It was like, what?
Because that's a big number. When you think of 74, a lot of times when we think of education, we hear the perspective on data, not recognizing that means that 74 out of every 100 children could not read.
Exactly.
A most basic
Couldn't read.
first, second grade
Could not
skill.
read. And it hasn't changed. So you realize, I mean, you might be familiar, I know you are, with the young lady who graduated and is now suing Harvard because she can't read. But she's graduated. And she's not the only one.
But you're talking about, there was a young woman who recently brought a lawsuit
Yep.
against the state of Connecticut, because you've proven that state of Connecticut is the one who's responsible for these things.
And she's suing the city of Hartford.
And the city of Hartford for graduating her illiterate.
Illiterate, can't read.
You know, because I'm going to come back to
I was like, what is the world is the matter here? That, because part of it, and I don't want to sound like that, but it is like that. How do you have a child and not know that they can't read?
Well, I think I can answer that.
Okay.
Parents,
Can't read either. I get it.
and I'll take it one step further. It would be easy for me as an educator to hop on the parents should do better. But Dr. King said that a school should be so good that you can't tell who that child's parents are. And with you and I, we judge our school experience by our children's experience.
I did it one time.
Right. And so
Not anymore.
Right. Well, so someone tells
anymore.
you that your child's a BC student. In most cases, you just take that. You go to the doctors, and the doctor says you got a bump, you got a bruise. This is what it is. You may look on the internet, but you only gonna go. That's why you went to this person to expect that. For me, and I want to come back to this because I think that this is important. For me, what I think of it from an educator's perspective, I think she had at least one kindergarten teacher. She may have had multiple first grade teachers. And multiples all the way through elementary school. Then when she got to sixth grade, she had 7 periods in a day. She had 7 teachers per day who knew this for the next 7 years. And not one of them lost their jobs
Right.
as a result of this child's inability to read. And presumably, enough of them had to say that she could read in order for her to graduate.
Exactly. And I'm not in what I'm saying, I don't disavow the responsibility of the teachers, not at all.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to express is the fact that education is a partnership.
That part's true.
Okay. I don't expect. I did not expect my children's schools to be totally responsible for their education. As a parent,
Right.
I need to be involved. Are you doing your homework? Read to me. What did you learn in school today? What's going on? I used to just stop by, and that used to make my kids really.
Well, I think we can agree that you may not be the typical mom.
Okay.
I think we could agree to that. And because most moms don't sue their entire state.
Well, okay. But that number was fine. That was too large. It's like, you know what? That's to me is systemic. And that to me speaks to what we know about this nation and even up south here in Connecticut. It's okay for black children, Puerto Rican children, children of color, it's okay for them to fail.
One of the many reasons why I am so interested in speaking to you, Dr. Elizabeth Horton Sheff, is because your story as a story of America at its best, I don't think is told enough. I think it should be taught in every state in the nation, and I know that other nations could learn from it. I think what your story does, is it shows that even in a state like Connecticut, the land of steady habits,
Up south,
a place where the bucolic setting of New England can numb us to really what's going on right in front of us, that state can be held to account. But I think here's the other part, and that there are times when the system works.
Yeah, it's working. I was just at a graduation at Goodwin University Magnet School System. It's the early camp, early college admission machinery program. So they work manufacturing program.
Certainly.
So these students go to their high school part day, and then the other part of the day they come and at a camp and learn all of the things they learn about manufacturing jobs. And so when at their graduation, we had several students who had earned 21 college credits, and all of those students received a certificate from the State Department of Labor granting them 200 hours towards any apprenticeship
So
that they choose.
we're going to talk about how that program came to be. But did you think in '89 that we would be here today?
No, I did not. No. Because we're still fighting, Dr. Perry. We're still, the case is not closed. People think that the last settlement ended the case. It did not. Right? The state has, in 2022, they had 10 years. So that's what, 2032?
So let's take a step back. What was the state found guilty of?
You mean in the beginning, way
Yes.
back with the Supreme Court, Connecticut Supreme? They were guilty of complicity in racial isolation. The Connecticut Supreme Court found that the fact that school districts and town boundaries were coterminous exacerbated racial isolation and therefore violated the Connecticut Constitution, which guarantees children access to a substantial education. And also it talks about the non-discrimination, I'm saying, clause, that this fact just reproduced year after year racial isolation.
A system.
It was
systemic
systemic racism, just a system. And then the final thing is that the Constitution of the State of Connecticut says that we're both Connecticut citizens. You shouldn't have access to more public emoluments than I am. We should get the same stuff if it's public.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So when you take those three tenets of the Constitution and you juxtapose it against what was happening then, and it's still happening now.
Sure.
Our education system is unconstitutional.
So, many people know of the Brown versus Board of Education decision that said that the schools shall be desegregated with all due haste. That's what we heard from Brown. And then what happened was there were de facto segregatory strategies that are used all over the country. So they didn't say you can't come to this school because you're black. They just drew a district
Oh yeah.
where most of the black people lived. And then they prohibited, by way of making it illegal, to attend a school outside of your district. So your neighborhood public school was your prison if you were an urban student.
It still is.
It still is.
Still is because it's still against Connecticut law. If I live in Hartford, I can't go to school in West Haven. It's against the law.
Which when we think about it, as public accommodations go,
Yeah.
if I am in Hartford, if I'm a Hartford resident, and I go to West Hartford, and somebody steals something out of my car, I can use the police in West Hartford. I don't have to pay taxes to do that.
Right.
I can go to the library there.
Yeah.
I can use their public parks. I can use their public accommodations without any additional, because it's public, it's available
Right.
to the public.
Right.
But public education,
Not.
not at all. So initially, what was it that the plaintiffs, you, said that you wanted as a remedy from the state?
You know, I don't mean to backtrack.
No,
on
please,
you,
I
brother,
want you to.
Because let me just say that while I very much appreciate the Connecticut Supreme Court decision on the one hand, on the other hand, I think it was a way to recognize the problem but really not doing anything about it.
Can you say more about that? Because as somebody who's currently suing the state,
Yeah.
I expect that we're going to win.
Yeah.
But what does winning look like?
Exactly. What does winning look like?
Like, what did you win?
Well, exactly. We won a lawsuit, okay? But the fight, that's when the real fight began, right? So
Because what you were charging was that sending children to school that was overwhelmingly black without their choice
right?
was by itself discriminatory, unconstitutional.
Yep.
And the presumed remedy would be then they can't do that anymore.
Right.
Right? You got to be able to eat at the lunch counter, right?
Right.
Got to be able to get on the bus, right?
Exactly. Right.
And so the presumptive remedy would be these schools need to be desegregated and there are no more limits like there were.
Exactly.
And that didn't happen. Still to this day.
Still didn't happen. Not to today. So what the Supreme Court of our state did was, when I say they kind of went under the wire and dug a little hole for themselves to hide in, is that they ordered the state of Connecticut to remedy the situation. They could have ordered a special master. We did retain oversight of the process, so that's a positive thing. That's got us where we are now because we continue to have oversight. But to me, that just punted it into politics. And you know, Connecticut politics suck.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yep.
Suck.
Yep.
And Hartford is even worse.
Yep.
And so
there's nothing like a community that's poor that's fighting over meager resources.
Over
ain't got nothing to fight over.
McDonald's,
and when you got somebody stealing and putting it in their pocket, there was only so much to start with. And this person, 2 for me, 1 for you. 3 for me, 1 for you.
Yeah. And it's like, you know what? You're still getting gypped. Why are you sitting around looking? But that's a whole nother story. What I wanted, and we proposed several remedies to the state in the beginning that were, of course, all rejected.
And I want to pause here. This is why I want to make sure that people understand this, because there is a settlement, and we'll get to that in a moment, that has been used by the opponents of school choice to speak ill of the Sheff plaintiffs. But that was a settlement. There were other requests that were made that were not what was the ultimate settlement. And I think people need to really understand that in a lawsuit, when you win, in a civil lawsuit, when you win, now there's a negotiation.
Right.
And so you, as the plaintiffs, proposed what? It didn't start off as magnet schools.
No, it didn't start out as magnet schools. We although it kind of slid into that. When we slid into that, that's a whole other thing. But we proposed basically a regional school system. So we looked at it like a pie chart. Draw this huge circle around Greater Hartford, in all the towns that are contiguous to Hartford, those who are contiguous to the contiguous. You draw that map and cross it in fours. So if you're in this quarter, you can go to any school in this quarter. And this quarter, the whole thing.
So, because I think a lot of people, when I get the opportunity to travel, I'm sure the same is true with you. One of the first questions they ask, they got black people in Connecticut? Like,
yeah.
And what many people don't know about Connecticut, so if you think of Connecticut as a rectangle, essentially, and then north central part, there's this place called Hartford. Mm-hmm. It's pretty black and Latin. Mm-hmm. In the southwestern part, there's a place called New Haven. Mm-hmm. And then there are a couple of other places that have high percentages of black children, mm-hmm. but they're not majority black. Mm-hmm. And then the southwestern corner is Bridgeport. So you have a couple towns that I don't think people realize in Connecticut that are black and Latin, right, almost 100%.
Right.
And then beyond them, which is really interesting, almost adjacent in some cases, Hartford, West Hartford. West Hartford's wealthy. It's not like pretty good. No, it's rich.
Wealthy. It's wealthy.
And then the same is true of Bridgeport. You have Bridgeport, then you have Fairfield.
Right.
Which is not like pretty good. It's wealthy.
Right.
And then it only gets richer from there. Hartford, West Hartford, it only gets richer from there.
Right.
And so what you as a plaintiffs did was you said, okay, Hartford's there, so people can have visual. Hartford's mm-hmm. here, mm-hmm. but we're going to draw outside of Hartford. We're going to create because in places like Memphis, they have Shelby County schools. Mm-hmm. But sometimes when people outside of the state think of counties, they don't realize that their counties are still black. Yeah. A county with us, Middlesex County, Hartford County. Mm-hmm. So Hartford County is not black. Hartford County is pretty white. Mm-hmm. But Hartford is black.
Yeah.
Fairfield County is uber white.
Yeah.
And uber wealthy. Mm-hmm. But Bridgeport is not.
Right.
So if this plan that y'all had put in place had worked out, then these uber white communities, mm-hmm. really rich, some of the wealthiest in the world communities, mm-hmm. would have had to open their school doors to poor black and Latin children. Mm-hmm. What did the state say when y'all had that great idea?
Oh, you see it ain't happen, right? You see it ain't go nowhere.
So they weren't down for...
No. What they decided...
Our liberal friends in this blue state, our liberal friends didn't want black kids coming to their wealthy schools?
Up south.
They didn't want them coming?
They still don't want to come. But let's get back to the remedy. When that didn't happen, when the pie didn't happen... and it was chosen in the state of Connecticut. And the state of Connecticut chose how to implement the remedy per the Supreme Court of our state's orders, right?
So they said to the guilty party, you get to pick how this problem solved.
Yeah, exactly.
So you broke your own constitution.
Yep.
So you get to fix it.
Yep.
Not the people who found out that you did it.
No.
Not the plaintiffs.
No.
But the defendant is in charge. The mouse is now in charge of the cheese.
Yes, exactly.
Because a lot of people don't. A lot of people, and this is so important. The State Board of Education does a fantastic job of putting the blame on the Sheff plaintiffs.
Oh, okay.
And as a result of scarcity, then people start to blame the lifeboats for the sinking of the Titanic. Mm-hmm. But I'm today years old realizing that, wait a minute, the Supreme Court said that the defendant can fix how to...
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
I really didn't know that.
Yep, told the state, you fix it, right? And, okay, so that, again, they're punting us right into politics. They could have said, we're appointing a special master to oversee your planning. They didn't even do that. They just kicked it over. And the state of Connecticut devised this, how do I say this, user-friendly remedy where local control was not touched, right? So Sheff is a voluntary system. You do not have to
The
participate.
you, and I want to make sure we're not talking about you as individuals, parents, and we're talking about you, the cities and state.
Oh yeah,
They don't have to participate.
Well, they don't. They don't. They really don't. And families don't have to participate.
Families don't, but whether the families wanted to or not, if the cities had to, then the families de facto would have to.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they could.
Right? Because if
right.
like in some states, in some communities, like let's say New York City, where we have schools, it's school choice. So you don't have to go to neighborhood school. You can go to, but
Right.
so you can decide not to, but no one can stop you from going.
If you want to go
no one
somewhere.
can stop you.
Exactly.
But in Connecticut, they still gave the Supreme Court still gave the local communities who created the de facto racist system the opportunity to maintain the de facto racist system.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the state, in its implementation, did not touch that. The court said that it was unconstitutional, and the state of Connecticut skirted around it through this voluntary system. Right? Let me finish.
Yeah.
Because they chose to build magnet schools to try to encourage an expansion of open choice. Project Concern, open choice, more seats in the suburbs. That didn't happen. And they took VOTEC as a part of the system.
So I want to pause there for a second because again, you and I understand this because we're in Connecticut and you know scarred by the experience. Me, not nearly as much as you may be, but in Connecticut there are neighborhood, what we refer to as public schools, that the state of Connecticut acknowledged that because they were driven by your zip code, by your address, they were de facto segregated, and through the de facto segregation were inherently racist and therefore limited the access that the black children who were in them had to the same education that the white kids in the adjacent communities had. And so the plaintiffs said, this is your charge, that this system of sending children to school in their neighborhood is racist. The state said, you're right.
Well, no, you have to be careful because there's nothing in the Supreme Court decision that talks about the racism in our. Okay, there's nothing like that. They talk about racial isolation, but again, Punt didn't really talk about the underlying platforms of racism
And the implications of such.
Right.
But they don't call it out.
No, they don't call it out.
So that's me doing that. That's me editorializing.
Yeah.
So when the Supreme Court said that the defendant could select the remedy for the problem that they created, the defendant said, what we're going to do is maintain the zip code system of school districts, but in one town or so, Hartford, we're going to put magnet schools in there.
Well, so that's a little off too.
Okay, that's what I'm asking.
Because in the beginning, since they chose this magnet school process, we had hoped, we being the plaintiffs, we had hoped to bring all of the cash into Hartford. They had to go with magnet school development, magnet school running, billions of dollars that we bought.
Literally.
We wanted to bring billions more, but it was Hartford. Mayor Eddie Perez and that troop that I was serving with who decided they didn't want any more magnet schools. So that's how CREC got into.
And we'll get to what CREC is in a second. So,
but wait, let me finish that point.
Okay, yep.
Because had Hartford continued to work to develop magnet schools, the money would have been flowing into Hartford. And students coming in would have brought more money.
So people don't know a magnet school in Connecticut, because they're different in different states. A magnet school in Connecticut is a public school that's run either by what's called a Regional Education Corporation, a RESC,
Yep.
or it's run by the local school system. And in Connecticut, why that's important is because both of those are unionized schools. There's a reason why that's important versus a charter school, which is typically not unionized and not an option that many private schools, which are also typically not. But these schools are schools that are run by the local board of education / the teachers union, and they are open to a region. They're called regional magnets, so the region you can go there. And the Sheff, what would have become known as the Sheff schools, had an expectation that they would be desegregated while in a segregated community of Hartford. Is that correct?
That there would be diversity in student population.
Yeah. Diversity, yeah.
And so I think the sharp edges that you're putting on things, you need to round them a little bit.
So that's what I'm listening for.
Okay, you need to round them a little bit because it ain't so cut and dry.
Yeah.
In the things that Hartford did following the rejection,
which is insane. What people should understand, like, right?
Yeah, they
gave away money.
They gave big money.
Like, gave away money for schools.
Big money, because we wanted to turn every Hartford school into a magnet.
Which would have meant that they got the local money and state money.
Exactly.
They would have doubled the amount of money that they were, at least. And then got a full new building.
Yep. Renovated or brand new building.
But the mayor said no.
The mayor said no, and the council said no.
And the city council said no.
Yep.
They said, don't give us a regional school where white kids might come in, suburban kids, black, white, or other.
Well, they said that they didn't want to take any more of taxable property off of the tax rolls. Now, I understand that because the fact that our school districts are basically, even those in the rest, are basically undergirded by local tax dollars. That's why a place like Fairfield can have so much more money than the education cost sharing grant.
Well, I definitely want to have a conversation about that because there's another side to that, but I think it's important to I think it's important that you help people to understand that right now there are how many magnet schools that are considered Sheff magnets?
42 and 43. The 43rd is being built right now.
So there are 43 schools. I can attest as somebody who opened the Sheff Magnet. Capital Prep is a Sheff Magnet school that we opened in 2005. By 2009, Hartford, Connecticut had 4 of America's top performing high schools. I think it's something that people really just pause on. In Hartford, Connecticut, a community that's still poor, still primarily black and Latin, because of the Sheff settlement, 4 of the high schools, and I don't know that there were more than 4 at that time. There was 5, I think. But there were 4 high schools in Connecticut, in Hartford, that were on U.S. News and World Report's top performing high schools, period.
And in the greater Hartford region. And here's the thing.
So it worked.
It worked. And actually, what I witnessed on Monday past is another indication that it can work. What we're facing now is ignorance in the community. Let's just tell the truth and shame the devil. The retreat from diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging by our state, which manifests itself not only in the philosophy of the departments, but in the division of the monies.
You know what I find fascinating, though? There are the politics and policies and policymakers who support not making more of these schools possible. But then to a person in each of their departments, if you ask them where they send their children to school.
Right. Where do they go? Where do they go? Magnet schools, open choice,
Charter
private
schools.
charter schools, parochial, but they're not in that district.
And you know what's fascinating to me is that we don't do a good enough job of telling that story. I can't tell you how often I get a call, hey, Doc, oh, hey, Senator, how can I help you? Hey, Representative, how can I help you? Hey, Mayor, how can I help you? Hi, Councilman, whatever gets you to call me today? Oh, your niece.
Right.
Waiting list.
Right.
Really?
Yep.
So if you were thinking in 1989 that things were going to be different, what did you think the education landscape would look like?
Well, first and foremost, I would have hoped that by now we would have addressed another critical aspect of why we're so segregated, and that's housing. Okay, so I mean, we originally had housing as a part of the case.
I did not know that.
We did.
Can you say more? I really didn't know that.
We talked about affordable housing in the beginning as we were putting together the suit, because as you know, if the town is diverse, then the school diversity is organic. It's right there. It's growing up, right? But because of the amount of bristle, we took housing out of the case.
People do. I know that people when they see this, they're gonna trip because obviously you were ahead of your time, but we are not talking about Alabama here.
No, we're not. No, we're
We
not.
are talking about the dark blue state of Connecticut.
Wealthy,
largely white, suburbanites.
Yep.
Who, not since who was the last Republican governor that we had?
Wasn't it Ella Grasso? Wasn't she a Republican?
No, it was the one who went to prison.
Oh, Roland.
So last time was right, Roland.
Yeah.
Since then, Democrat.
Yeah.
Democrats control virtually everything here.
House, Senate,
and then most local councils. So we went to our friends. You went to our friends and said, "Hey, got this really cool idea.
Right.
If we build some affordable housing in West Hartford or Fairfield or Greenwich or Hamden or some of these other places, which are adjacent to poorer communities, then some poor people might be able to move out there who might be of color, and they could go to your kids' schools." And they said, no,
they didn't know. No. we didn't actually. I don't know I don't think we wouldn't talk to people about it, but we have spoken about the organic nature of housing.
Yeah.
However, it is the zoning laws in the state of Connecticut that actually were put in place specifically to direct multifamily housing in certain towns, and then single family dwellings in other towns. So which towns do you think got the multiples?
Right. The urban communities.
The urban communities.
So one of the things.
No trees.
No trees.
No trees.
So one of the things that has always amazed me about you in your person, I've had the opportunity to sit in meetings with you. Most people don't realize that Capital Prep was originally named Elizabeth Horton Sheff Prep. And for 2 years, it was named Elizabeth Horton Sheff Prep. But we were told that you had to be dead.
Right.
And I wasn't interested in that as an option. So
thank you.
Right. So we ultimately, per your suggestion, let the name go. The reason why I say that is because I've watched you put your own personhood aside, any accolades aside. You had a house fire.
Yep.
That was suspicious.
Yep.
Death threats.
Yep.
Can you talk about the personal cost of fighting? Because your kid was good. You could have gotten a Milo straight.
I just could have did like this and kept it moving.
And still could.
I still
was
could.
a very grown man.
Yep, 40 something.
Right.
Yep, and I'm still at it. You know, I believe deeply in my soul that this is what God wants me to do. This is my mission. You know, I wasn't invited to that meeting. Some people might say it was a coincidence, but I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and so I get really pissed off a lot of times. As you know, you see me bite people in meetings.
I have. It's been pretty cool. I've often wanted to be like, hey,
Too late. Too
late.
late.
But if you just let her go, she was going. But you did that, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna step.
Yeah, you deserve that.
You're gonna get the rest. Now you're gonna get it.
Right.
But what are the costs? Because there's a sister right now who's looking at you and thinking, I don't know if I can.
It's okay. The cost is really, if I'm going to be honest with you, Dr. Perry, is the lack of privacy. That I feel like I'm on all the time when I'm out in the community. I'm not supposed to swear. I'm not supposed to cut you off on the road. You know, those guys can't have that second drink. You know, you know. I mean, all of that.
Right.
All of that. But the joy that I see when I visit these schools and I look at these buildings and I'm watching all these little munchkins of all different colors running around, and I go to the high school and I see all of these children, you know, talking together playing on their phones together. And I call dismissal organized chaos.
Yes.
You know, and
it's a super cool part of the day.
It is.
It's really super fun.
It is. When I'm with those kids, like I was on Monday, and these two little girls came up and they were just so excited to take a picture, and they said thank you.
You're a real celebrity.
I don't know about that.
No. You really. I mean, let's call it. 42 schools exist. Mm-hmm. If you just assume for a second that each of the schools has 500 kids, right? Mm-hmm. That's a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm. And the other thing that it just really this past year, because I was at a gas station getting gas, and this guy pulls up and he says, I just want to thank you. I'm thinking, okay, must be Sheff related, right? But now it doesn't have to be.
Certainly.
Because I've worked on other things. But he said that his daughters work in magnet schools, and that they very happy to go from a unnamed district to the magnet schools. And so that got me to thinking, Steve, besides the access to educational opportunities, right, that our kids get, including early college credits, think about the number of people that actually are employed.
That's a really important point.
And the money, all the money that we brought in on construction.
It literally, at least by 2010, you'd brought in $500 million worth of construction. That's not just materials, that's human capital.
Yep.
And then, in addition to that, how many people who are Black and Latin got a chance to teach?
Yep.
In districts that they would not have gotten a chance to teach in before.
Exactly.
And become leaders of schools. Mm-hmm. And how many parents now see themselves as parents of college-going children.
Yeah.
Or career-going children.
Yes.
And the impact that your collective effort has made on the psyche of a state can't be measured in numbers. It's measured in lives changed. But who have been some of your most ardent adversaries during this time still? Because they're still there.
Yeah, they're still there.
This story doesn't end happily right now.
No, it doesn't. I'll name you a couple of names. There was this one attorney that worked for the state. His name is Ralph. He was a horrible man.
I know him.
You know Ralph?
I know Ralph. I agree with you.
He was horrible. Senator Doug McCorry, he hasn't been helpful at all. Like you can name almost every single Hartford school board who have laid at the foot of Sheff the inadequacies of the district.
So what would be, like, let's say McCoy, what would you want him to do if he could do more?
Well, first of all, McCorry works for CREC, which is a part of the Sheff lawsuit. So that makes me a little crazy. I discussed that with CREC. So how are you going to have somebody who is not supportive of quality integrated education working at a place that is philosophically dedicated to quality integrated education?
You don't think he does? You don't think he supports it?
I get where wait, okay, no. I know that I have been in rooms with him and in committee meetings with him and watched him on television where he said very negative things about Sheff. Very negative things.
Yeah, I haven't heard those.
Yeah.
My experience with him has been that he supports choice. And well, I haven't heard his comments on magnet schools. I can't speak on that. I can say that I think what I can say is I have seen him support the opportunity for children to attend the schools of their liking. His kid went to, both of his kids went to school. I think one of his son went to a charter school and I believe is now employed by CREC. So I think that they support the effort. I think for me, and I'm interested in hearing more about some of the folks who you feel, the people who I struggle with are the people who are dying our efforts. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. Like these two plants, I got to get them downstairs because I'm not killing them, but I'm not doing what I should do to help them live.
Right.
And I think too many, I'll say specifically Black and Latin legislators who benefit in some ways directly from Sheff.
Yep.
I mean, listen, Josh Hall was a union president from Hartford Federation of Teachers, is a state representative, sends his kids to a magnet school, but works against school choice.
Right.
So those people,
Yeah.
those people who take for themselves, put it in their pocket, and then don't give to the community who claim to be representatives, those people to me are gross.
Right. And those people who are gross because of inaction.
That's what I'm saying.
Like Charlene.
Russell Tucker?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. She's awful.
Yeah. So
She's awful. Let me be clear.
Yeah.
The commissioner of the state Department of Education, who also happens to be of African descent. I've never heard her call herself Black, but I know what she looks like.
right.
I know what people think she is,
Yeah.
with or without her opinion. I have yet to see her stand on business on making sure that Black children are taken care of.
Right. No. Yeah. You're right. You're right.
And I
You're
would go so
correct.
far as to say she has led. People often tell me, "Oh, you can't go after her as the governor." It's a job, man. If she got a job as a commissioner of State Department of Education, she could probably get another job.
Right. And she just because and that what leads me into allegiance. Is your allegiance? Where's your allegiance? Is it to your pocketbook, or is it to your profession, or is it to your mission in life? Where's your allegiance?
Right.
So if just because somebody says you shouldn't say something, if you know in your heart that is the right thing to do and you don't say it, then that's gross.
But and let's be clear what we're talking about here. I think it's so important to revisit that your son was fine.
Yeah. Had no problems.
And you didn't have to do this. These folks are in a position to fix thousands of children's lives
Yeah.
today.
Right now.
There is no reason why anyone who calls himself an educator wouldn't be doing everything they could to make sure there were more magnet schools, more choice programs. Like tonight.
Right. Yeah. Last
Because
week.
because
year.
the best schools that are public in the state of Connecticut are choice schools. There's no middle ground on that.
Yeah.
And some people will say, well, what about the wealthy white schools? Well, the wealthy white schools who have wealthy white kids tend to do well for wealthy white kids. But the black kids, they don't do well.
Right. Plus the fact, the thing of it that is the other side of this flip coin. When we talk about correcting racial isolation, that includes white people.
That part.
Okay, people don't think. I mean, they say, "Oh, Elizabeth, what a good thing you've done with those poor American children." Boy, no, it's about all of our kids. Because I have met in my course of 3 decades plus, almost 4, I've talked with teachers who are in teaching college, who are white, who have said to me that it wasn't until college that they interacted with a person of color.
And that's powerful.
So, okay, think about it. These are our teachers they're talking about.
So think about what they think of people.
Exactly.
Who they've only seen it rap, play basketball.
Yeah.
And
Or the TV told them that they killed somebody,
right,
or raped somebody.
Because then there's the other side of it. What I've seen as somebody who started and ran a magnet school in Hartford, were those white kids who we sent off to college. And I guarantee you, when they went off to college, people said, "Where'd you go to school?" They say, "Hartford." "No, you didn't." "Where'd you go to school?" "No, I went to school in Hartford."
Yeah.
Like, I really went to school in Hartford. "No, you didn't." "No, I know where I went to school, and I went to school with mostly black and Latin kids." And how cool, I can think of one young man right now. He went to Keene State. So he's from West Hartford.
Uh-huh.
His family sent him to Capital Prep. He graduated, went to Keene State. Keene State is about as white a college as you can get without doing it intentionally.
Okay.
Like, you can't get whiter than Keene State.
Okay.
You can't. It's not possible.
Right.
And so I guarantee you that when he talks about high school, and when they met his high school friends, they're like,
Right.
"That's not your..."
Yeah.
They live on Barber Street?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where they used to live. They don't live there anymore. They went to Capital Prep. They went to college.
Right.
But the point is,
Right.
there's something meaningful there. And you mentioned something else, and I really think this is how many people who I know who went just to our school are now teaching.
Right. There's a bunch of them. There's a bunch of them who are doing good things with the foundation that was given to them through the Sheff ecosystem. Good things.
Yeah.
We have a person that's an independent filmmaker. He's got a couple of those. We have people who've gotten their PhDs. We have people who've gotten their master's degrees.
You got doctors all over the place.
Yeah, I got doctors.
Oh, you got doctors all over.
Yeah.
You got doctors all over the place. Like, you got doctors all, like, that's a, you could throw a stone in any direction and hit doctors who went to a Sheff school.
Yeah.
I know how many we have.
I know because the Brianna, what is her name? Brianna Sanchez Vasquez. She graduated from Capital Prep with she said she was a couple credits short.
Of an
couple
associate.
classes of associate. She's going to be speaking at our event on July 9th.
That's powerful.
July 9th, 6 o'clock, Goodwin University. She is going to regale the fact of how her being in Capital Prep under your leadership was one of the best choices that happened in her life, and that her brother, who did not attend Capital Prep with her, didn't get the structure he needed. She finished college. She's now doing regional work. I believe it's marketing. The brother never finished college.
You know, one of the things that I think in the time we have left, we should start to really deconstruct for people is, why did they say no to the regional schools? Why are they saying no to, why did the suburbs say no? Why did the urbans say no? And why aren't we fighting to get more opportunities for children to attend the kinds of schools that are best for them? Some children want to do a machinist program.
Right.
Some children want to go to college. Some
Right.
people want to do film. Some people,
Yeah.
and what I find most compelling as a group of Sheff schools, and again, I can't speak to all of them, but the ones I'm familiar with, I can, and I can, competitive as I am, I can recognize the game. And so many people who went to a Sheff magnet high school think more about their high school experience than they do even their college. Because you create this meaningful experience in their communities. You gave birth to that. Why are people fighting that?
Racism. Just plain pure, unadulterated, raised American flag saluted racism. That's what it is.
So the racism is that they don't want children to have this? What does that mean?
I think it's indoctrination. I really believe that just like children of color are bombarded with negative indoctrination, white children are indoctrinated with a superiority indoctrination. And so it's hard for both to see each other. I just see you, Steve. I don't see all the things that are in my head about you that I don't even know you. And I just think it's clinging to the historic pattern of structural racism in America.
That was one of the challenges for us as running a school. White kids would come to the school, and then I guess being a minority wasn't as much fun as we made it look like it was.
Right.
And so the first child who hears something said to them that may be attached to their race or community thinks, oh, I don't have to deal with this. I'll just go back where we in power.
Right.
Like, I don't need to do this.
Exactly.
I don't need this. And the mother comes in, the father comes in, like, did you hear what the child said? We'll take care of that, but that's why we're here. That was a negative. But there's so much good. The net good to, let's call it bad, is 100 to 1.
Right.
I mean, actually, if we care about education, then we should care about what works best. These schools in Connecticut and throughout the country, but the schools in Connecticut that are doing the best job of educating the most challenging academic children who are most challenged by academic system that we've devised are magnet schools, schools of choice, charter schools, schools of choice. It's not even a question. The data's out. Like we've got that down.
Right.
If you go to U.S. News Reports and you look at the top performing schools, you will never find a neighborhood school that's urban there. You won't. But you will find magnet schools in poor neighborhoods that are outperforming the curve. What can we do now, right? Because 1989 to 2026, what's that? 43?
36 years.
36 years. 37 years. 37 years.
Okay.
So 37 years. It's clear that we haven't learned our lesson.
Right.
Because there really shouldn't be neighborhood schools if you just think of just performance.
There shouldn't be.
Like there really shouldn't be?
There shouldn't be district schools that are configured according to town boundaries. There should not be.
Right. Especially as a limit.
Right.
So you guys still go back and forth with the court, with the state. What's coming?
Well, and starting in school year 28-29, according to the last settlement, the state will be obligated to break down that stereotype for Hartford kids, in that any child who wants a placement in open choice or magnet shall be granted a place in open choice. No more lottery.
I love it.
No more lottery. Thank you, Jesus. You know, people say to me, I hate the lottery. I tell them I hate the lottery too.
I do too.
I do too. I hate the lottery. But how else would we do it? You know,
Right.
how else would we do it? But in 28, 29, that no more lottery. Any child that wants to go. Now here's the kicker. Here's the question. Is the state going to be ready? Because in order for that to happen, the state needs to build more schools. They need to build more magnet schools.
Yeah, schools, districts like Hartford will cease to exist.
Yeah. And Bridgeport should cease to
They will
exist.
it will and should.
Yep. And you know, and all of these people that promote just giving these failing school districts more money to fail our children again, that to me, and I may be pushing it a little bit, that to me is a manifestation of systemic racism.
Well, I'll take it one step further because I don't think that's a push. That's just the truth. I'll take it one step further. The overwhelming majority of the people who work in urban school systems are white women who live in the suburbs. When I asked multiple legislators, why are you fighting for money for Hartford and Bridgeport when you know that's not going to solve the problem?
Right.
Well, I'll get pressure. But those people don't vote in your district. They actually don't vote in your district. They
Right.
really don't live there.
Right.
And if you look, your families want choice. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on waiting lists.
Right. Exactly.
So who do you care about? And they care more about the white suburban, typically women, than they do the black urban, typically women. And it really is that simple. Because if they did, then they would just look at the data. The data would show you that your magnet schools, your charter schools, are your best performing schools in the state,
Exactly.
full stop. It's not even a conversation. There are no waiting lists to get into Bassick, Central, Harding, Hartford, Public, Weaver, Buckley.
Right.
There are none to get into Middletown High. Like, there are no waiting lists.
Right.
Nor should there be. And I love, so does that mean that the state will have to open up seats in the schools because for instance, with us at our charter school, we're looking at, we have 500 kids on the waiting list now. And what happens, I don't know if I ever told you this. The reason I left, people think they know why I left Hartford. They don't. The ultimate reason why I left, and when it finally came down to the come down, I was on Main Street, which is where our school is, and I was doing bus duty. And his brother pulls up, almost like OJ, like, hops out of the car. I'm thinking,
Uh-oh. Yeah, here we go.
here we go. So I said, hey, brother, what's going on? He said, you and I got a problem, brother. I don't, sir, I'm Steve Perry, you are.
Yeah.
He said, you know who I am? I said, brother, I really do not, and I'm sorry. He said, my daughters have been applying to your schools for the past 3 years, and you keep saying no.
Oh, yeah.
He said, I'm a firefighter. He pointed, he said, I live right there. He said, every time I go to work, I put my life on the line, and you keep saying no to my kids.
That's not right. You
And
told
I said,
him
brother,
that.
that's not true. It's not me. Like,
Right.
it ain't got nothing to do with me.
Right.
I'll take your kids today.
Right.
But I don't have any control of it. No,
Right.
you the reason why. And I thought, oh my God, so they think I'm doing this? Oh, I'm good. I'm not carrying the water for these fools because I done begged these fools to stop this mess. And now they think that I don't want his black daughters to come to my school, a firefighter from Hartford who grew up in Hartford, who lived in Hartford, who bet on Hartford, and just wanted somebody to believe in his children. That day was the day that I walked in back after bus duty, and I said to my colleague and co-founder Rich Bagansky, I said, we're done here, brother. I can't do this anymore.
Well, and capital prep has gone down tremendously since you left. I'm trying to forgive you for that. Maybe turkey at Thanksgiving will help.
I'll do what I can. I'm sure they're doing their very best up there.
Yeah, I'm not certain. But the point of the matter is that there is a lot of misconception out there, and even when you try to do something good, it gets all kinds of backfire. Like, for instance, we had that learning corridor north.
Oh, it was beautiful.
That that would have been.
We had some. So
we had the money. We had everything to make that learning corridor north.
I want to tell that story because I do think.
Yeah.
And please jump in. So it's so crazy now. It's really crazy, and people don't. So a lot of people wouldn't realize that in 2000, we started in 2012, 2013. Mm-hmm. Capital Prep had 2,500 children on the waiting list. We had 50 available seats. Mm-hmm. Next to us was a vacant lot. Across the street was a building that was called the But Ugly Building. Mm-hmm. There was a community college in the distance, a park, a skate park that was a mess, mm-hmm. and a hotel that was kind of open but wasn't. Mm-hmm. It was, by all accounts, the Badlands of Hartford. Mm-hmm. Just Capital Prep was right there at the front of it.
Yeah.
And you proposed what promised to be an international, mm-hmm. and this is not overstating it, an international model of what a community could do that was poor. And the plan was to get the state to agree to fund even neighborhood schools additionally.
Yeah.
And
housing.
And
housing around
housing.
that. Yeah.
And housing.
Yeah.
And so if you're from or live in Hartford or ever been to Hartford, where Capital Prep Magnet School in Hartford, where it is now, mm-hmm. the plan was from that point north,
all the way,
housing,
and
schools, to create what would be a learning corridor north. So every day at the end of school, mm-hmm. what you would see are literally thousands of children mm-hmm. and families in that area.
Yeah.
Thousands.
Yeah.
At some of the best schools in America, because that's really what we had.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy right now, but we literally had some of the best schools in America.
Yeah.
And I can say that it was the Hartford Board of Education.
Oh, yeah. A few crazy parents.
It was mostly union. They put batteries in backs of the parents because the parents didn't know what they were saying because they literally could not read that which was written for them.
Right. Okay.
And that was the one time McCrory and I we were on opposite sides mm-hmm. of something because I think he and I've cleaned it up since then. But he didn't stand up in the way that I thought he should have.
He should have, yeah.
And what you had planned was something called the Lighthouse Schools. Mm-hmm. I had agreed that I would run these Lighthouse schools for $1.
Yep, $1.
I signed a contract that said that I would run these schools for $1.
$1.
And the schools were going to receive tens of millions of dollars. And the teachers union led a protest that stopped the money for the housing, mm-hmm. stopped the money for the schools. That's a Hartford Federation of Teachers.
Yeah.
When people hear me say the teacher union is the devil, I'm saying that on business. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. They stopped tens of millions of dollars in investment in their jobs.
Yeah.
It was going to go to them.
And
I'm going to get $1.
And here's the thing that creeps me is the fact that the only explanation that I got about why they didn't want this to happen was, right? They didn't just, I don't like Steve Perry. I think he's arrogant. I think what does that have to do with the price of tea in China? Is Capital Prep successful? Yes. That's all you need to worry about. But that's the only explanation there is that.
And they gave up a clown by the name of Kodo, mm-hmm. who still follows me around. I'm not lying to you.
Really?
Yeah, he still follows me around.
Robert Kodo?
Yeah, Robert Kodo still follows me around. He's a weird guy.
Yeah.
Like he's a really weird guy. And he still follows me around, still writes stories about me. It's really weird.
Yeah, because what he got is he stopped bad-mouthing magnet schools and when his kids got into a magnet school.
Don't they always?
Discovery. They were in
So
Discovery.
he,
Yep.
Robert Cotto,
Yep.
is former Board of Education member and a straight clown. Like he's a
Yeah.
straight clown.
Yeah, he is.
He called me one time and wanted me to not put a fence up around our school, which if people knew where our school was, Main Street in Hartford is 6 lanes.
Right.
It's 6, and at the
Big
time,
lane.
6 big, dangerous, fast driving lanes.
Yep.
We had pre-K, so I had an obligation to put a
Right.
fence. But we left the gate open, and he said it was elitist. I said, "Is a baseball field elitist?" I said, "The baseball field elitist? Because they got a fence too." And I said to him, "You got to be kidding me that you can't possibly want me to spend 45 minutes of my day talking to you about this. Like of all the things you want me to do today, like, and I'll say this, and I've said this to you, I would never have left Hartford. I would never have left Hartford if we had done that. I had no intentions. The opportunities were in New York. I had spoken to Cory Booker, who had just gotten $100 million from Mark Zuckerberg. And I've spoken to him about running his schools. I talked to people in Charlotte. I talked to people in Florida. I talked to people in Nevada. And it was no. Even New York. I said, no, absolutely. If they give me this, where I can continue to run Capital Prep, and I agree to run their other schools for them for $1.
Lighthouse schools.
Lighthouse schools.
All that money. And cut off your nose to spite your face. Now, wait, I want to make it clear that perhaps I have a different orientation because I grew up in a integrated neighborhood. It was diverse. We had all kinds. We had
I did too.
West Indians. We had white folks. We had Italians. We had Asian folks. We had black folks and Hispanic folks. So I grew up around people. So they just people to me.
Yeah.
They don't bother me.
Yeah.
Some people get really, some black people get really nervous around white. They don't bother me.
Yeah.
The other thing I want people to know is that I am not saying that every white person is racist. I'm not saying that. However, I am saying that if you are white and you rest on your laurels and enjoy the bad fruit of racism, then don't tell me that you really care about people.
That part.
And in fact, in my lifetime, there were 2 critical points in my life that I needed assistance with, and it was 2 white men who helped me. Right?
The person who pulled me aside and invited me to open Capital Prep is a white man.
Yeah. And so I know that it's not like that. However, I think that just like me, when I learned that it wasn't all right in 1989, even though my all right was all right, I think that it comes down to when your soul decides what ain't right ain't right.
I think I would agree with you. I would also add this. A person cannot be racist and work in a racist system and benefit from a racist system in their person to person. But ultimately, if you don't call out that racism and work to fix it, then you're complicit, which makes you racist.
Exactly, because you're enjoying the fruits of bad. You're saying talking out of 2 sides of your mouth. I keep telling people when I speak to them, when they claim to be so committed to diversity, I tell them, what does your house look like? I ask them, what's in your house that shows that you actually are committed to a multicultural world? And I tell them having Jamaican spice in their spice don't count.
And I can say, like, similarly, I can say I support women's rights. I can say that. But I'm still a man. And inevitably, I don't have to give anything up.
Right.
But I was speaking one time at Indiana University and at the Speed School. is what's called Speed School of Engineering, and they brought me in for Black History Month, and the entire audience was white, and one transgender guy who had a skirt on and a beard, and I was like, okay, I'm cool with that.
Right.
Do your thing, bro. And I say that because after I was done, he came up and he identified with me, and I'm thinking, I don't know, you and I have the same issues, but okay,
Okay.
whatever.
Okay.
I said to them, if you believe that there is such a thing as unearned disadvantages, then you have to also accept that there are unearned advantages.
Right.
Which would mean, by fact, that there are people in here who do not deserve to be here and people out there who do. And so the question is, how committed are you to equity? Are you prepared to give up the seat you have not earned?
Right.
Who here is willing to say that they didn't earn it and willing to give it to the person that did?
Yeah, right.
They clapped and everything. I haven't been invited back, but it's cool.
Everybody won't get right back. But here's the thing. It's hard for, like we talked about in the beginning, it's hard for people to actually be honest with themselves.
Yes.
It's very difficult for people to be honest with themselves. And so if you constantly are lying to yourself, you're going to lie. Your life is a lie, and you're going to exist in a lie, and you're going to do things like that. And that's whatever color you are. But we have a nation here that we built, that we are not invited to the party.
How about that?
Okay. And I know, again, why I'm here. I know that this is where I'm supposed to be. This is my job, right? And I think that people plowed the road for me.
Right.
We have to make sure that we stay on the battlefield, that we stay in that field, and we plow the road for our children. Else, there won't be a road.
So we'll bring this to a close by asking you this. If you were queen of the forest or a politician again,
Oh, God, no, help me.
what would you want the state to offer children and families to address the issue that remains of de facto segregation? How would you fix that?
Well, I would say that first of all, we should take down that legislation that says that you can't go to school other than the place in the
Your
city,
zone, so.
the district in which you reside, the city in which you reside. That we need to abolish. Now we can start with that, and then I would push on housing. But most importantly, and this is the thing that you and I agree with, that other people don't, that that the state stop funding the prisons, as you call them, and let that family, whatever, they don't have to give the money to the family, but wherever the child goes, the money should go.
Money follows the child.
Yep. So and there should be no restriction on where I go to school. So if I want to go to ABC Zoo School, then my education cost sharing grant allotment, that should go with me to ABC Zoo School.
People don't realize that they support vouchers when they support Section 8, Medicaid, Medicare, the GI Bill, student financial aid. Those are all vouchers, and they've all worked really well, really well. Many people came out of World War II and Vietnam on the GI Bill,
Right.
and built entire communities
Yeah.
because of that. And we see that. I lived in public housing, and many people who I lived in public housing with, they left public housing with a Section 8 voucher. They didn't buy a house, but they did pay for somebody else's house to be bought. So they created wealth for it within the community. Likely a person owned only one property, and maybe they lived in that same property with them. Vouchers are the only answer that allows for the proliferation of academic endeavors that are consistent with the desires of the families who are currently in place.
I agree with that. That is one vehicle. However, that vehicle needs to be highly monitored because the legislation that I read coming out of the federal government, what is that wrestling woman's name? McMahon?
Yep.
Okay. Talked about the fact that a school could turn down a student for a whole bunch of reasons, but the clause that caught my attention read, and I'm not saying it verbatim, but it read something to the fact that a school could reject an applicant if they felt that the applicant didn't fit into the culture of their school.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's, you know that?
Yeah.
I almost said a bad word.
Yeah, I know you did.
I almost did.
I know you did. I'm glad we made it this far without you doing it. So let me. I've said it about you. I say it to you. You are my hero. You are someone who, when I am thinking of how hard this is, I think of how many miles ahead you are, and if you've plowed down that path, then I at the very least need to get to where you are. And one of the reasons why I want to take the time to have this in-person conversation with you is because, I think that we have an obligation to tell your story. You were a single mom living in public housing who came with a slingshot. And while you were not invited by man, you were invited on high.
Yeah.
And you have taken the assignment and have delivered it well. So I am humbled to work alongside you and to have learned from you, and still apologize that we had to change the name of the school.
That's all right, Dr. Perry, because as we talked back then, that was politics, and it was more important to get to school and our kids in that school and give them the kind of education that you were offering than it was for me to have a name on a building. I ain't Trump. I don't need my name. I don't need my name on no building. I know who I am.
Well, thank you so much. So what are some of the events you got coming up that you want to tell people about?
Oh, yes. On July 9th at 6 o'clock, the Sheff Movement Coalition is hosting a community event to commemorate the 30th year of the Connecticut Supreme Court decision in Sheff versus O'Neill. So 30 years, July 9th, 1996, July 9th, 2026. So you're all invited to come. We have praise dancing.
Where's it going to be?
Oh, Goodwin University.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Goodwin University is in where?
East Hartford, Connecticut. Thank you, doctor.
Yeah.
But we have praise dance, song. We have students from the 3 decade, including the Capital Prep students,
Super excited
coming
about that.
to speak. We have a panel of the original lawyers
cool.
that
Britain?
Yeah, Britain.
Wow.
Britain, Martha, Wesley.
Wow.
All of the
That's
old
super cool.
Bill Tagler.
Wow.
And we have to connect the dots. We have Marshall Berger, the Honorable Marshall Berger, who was the Superior Court Justice who provided over the last.
Okay.
Okay. So we're gonna have a good time, and we're asking people to come and celebrate with us. As you think about all of the thousands and thousands and thousands of children who have benefited from being a part of our work, we could fill that auditorium.
I'll say this as we finish. We talk about the children. I can name multiple parents whose children benefited and now have purchased homes that their parents live in. So they actually been able to reach up, not just back,
Right.
to take care of their family as a whole. And you are amazing, and you've made this world a better place. So I know y'all gonna have a ball on July 9th.
Yep. I hope to see you there.
I'm not gonna be in town.
Where you gonna be?
I'm
Never mind.
in
Never
Puerto
mind. I
Rico.
wanna know.
I'm in
Oh
Puerto Rico.
God.
I'm-
All right. All right. Well,
All
that's
right.
all right. We still love you.
Good. I appreciate that. But I send my love.
right.
Otherwise, I would be there.
Right.
Otherwise, I would be there. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
No dumb questions where there are no dumb questions.
No.
So thank you so much. Really appreciate
Thank you, sir.
All right. Take care.
You too. Bye bye, y'all.